So it's great to host this as our first one. Just a couple of Digital Twin Hub Meet rules and protocols. This session is being recorded. We often have people that want to go back and see what some of our peers and colleagues discussed and presented. So just letting you know that the session is being recorded. Very much encouraging you to use the chat box, particularly for questions. Helen and Kate will be sharing some of their work shortly, and you may have some questions for them, or indeed you may have some questions for me. You can also use the chat box, of course, as a great resource for sharing relevant links or documents or other things you may think are relevant for our conversation. The agenda is quite simple. I give an update on the Digital Twin Hub, what's happening, what's going to happen, what's coming up. Then we talk about who's doing what. This is where we have, on a monthly basis, 2 guests that'll give some short presentations, 7 minutes each. And then we're going to allocate around about 10 minutes to some questions, not only about our guests' presentations, but also anything else that might be relevant. So please view this as a casual conversation, a gathering of our digital twin community. This is about the hub. We've got a lot of things going on digital twin wise, but the hub we are trying to build up as the place where we sort of meet and share. And really just a simple message here, which is if you haven't, and I know a number of you have, but if you haven't, or you have peers or colleagues that may be interested that haven't, sign up and subscribe for our fortnightly digital twin updates. You can do that on the front page of the hub, which is digitaltwinhub.org.com.au.co.nz, depending on where you're from. The other thing I would encourage you to do is up in the top right here, when you head to the hub, you can sign up to get a login and be a member. And that allows you to go in and essentially post items, questions, engage in discussion. So there's a number of functions on the hub in terms of what's on there. But the login and membership allows you to go in and sort of see who else is in the digital twin community with respect to the hub. I'm just going to sort of share and show you for a moment here. I'll just share my screen. When you jump in, when you jump into the hub, I think that's come up now. Up in the corner there, you can register, as I mentioned. The forum is where you can post questions or comments. Not a lot of activity recently. Majority of the activity by myself, and of course that's what I'm trying to rectify. I want us all to get engaged and to post relevant questions or items, but to do that you need to jump up here and make sure you set up your login and your membership into the hub. You will, regardless, find, of course, on the hub a lot of varying resources and artifacts, our news, lots of articles posted up there that we put up. We have a resources page. You can go in there and, of course, for example, jump in and you'll find links to all of the Digital Twin Week 2020 videos as one example, and also items such as the Digital Twin guidance note that we published in whenever it was now, 2020, ANZLIC Digital Twin Principles, and other good things. You'll also find status updates on our key events. So this is where you'll go in and register for future Digital Twin Hub meets, should you be interested. Have some guests that we've just updated. The April Digital Twin Hub meet will include Gavin from PCSG and also Elizabeth from Spot, talking about digitisation of parts of the built environment. Digital Twin Week, make sure you've got that in your calendar, 18th, 22nd of October, this year, similar format to last year for those that joined us. Coming very, very soon, we have some information, but more information will be coming around the Digital Twin Challenge, where we will select 10 organisations who will work as part of a cohort over the next 18 months to do some great digital twin stuff. So the Digital Twin Hub is where it's all happening, and that's what we're trying to do with these hub meets. But it's not all about the hub, of course. We do have some guests that that join us each week. So that's the hub. That's where you go. The guidance note is on there, as I mentioned, a core resource, Digital Twin Week we've touched on, as well as the challenge. A very quick update before I hand it over to our guests. The Digital Twin strategy for Australia and New Zealand, which has been almost a year in the making. A number of you have been part of that. The document, which many of you have seen or contributed to and or provided input into, is currently now in a documentation final drafting stage before we release a draft later this month. If anyone has any questions, please certainly reach out, but thank you for those that are on this call that have been part of that. And with that, I want to publicly extend a very big thank you to our Digital Twin Task Force that has been working away on this for quite some time and will continue to do so. With that, let's move to our next session, which is Who is Doing What? Helen Spencer from the Queensland Department of Resources is with us today, along with Kate Williams as well, who is Chief Business Officer at FrontierSI. I'm not going to do any elaborate introductions. They are awesome people. LinkedIn is exactly for that purpose. Please go and stalk them and connect with them. With that, Kate, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it straight over to you so that we can get a sense of what you are up to. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks for inviting me along today. I'll share my presentation, which is what I did not do at the last Digital Twin presentation I did. So let's make sure I get it right this time.
Perfect.
All good? Okay. So yeah, Adam, as I said, you can stalk me on LinkedIn, but I will start by doing a brief introduction to the organisation that I'm representing today. So we are kind of the next phase of what some people might know as the Cooperative Research Centre for Spatial Information. We're a not-for-profit organisation, a partner organisation, of which Helen's government department is one of our partners. We also have a number of university partners and industry partners, and I can see there's a few people online from those sectors as well. So we are very passionate about spatial technology, spatial infrastructure, positioning, geodesy, and also recently really interested in making sure that the digital twin community includes the spatial community understand what it's all about, and building the capability, because I think we all know that we're going to need a lot of people to upskill a lot to enable us to realize the digital twin dream. So what we did in early 2020, so this was before my time at FrontierSI, but I'm really glad that the time and the money was put into this initiative. We put out a call to our partners to come up with collaborative projects, research and innovation projects in the digital twin space. We received some amazing proposals. The thing that I like about all the successful proposals, and actually about all the projects that was submitted, was the collaborative nature of that projects involving, you know, industry, researchers and government partners in both state, local and federal government. You know, and it really did show that digital twin initiatives are collaborative initiatives. So today I'm just going to talk really from this initiative. You can find more information about them on our website, especially AusN Health and the Livable Cities Digital Twin Pilot. But, you know, breaking news, the flood resilience digital twin, we just finally got all the paperwork and contracts sorted out, and the kickoff meeting was held last week for that one. So I'll just give you a kind of quick window into that one before I've just got a slide on each of the other two. So the National Digital Twin for Flood Resilience in New Zealand, it's a collaboration between the University of Canterbury and LINZ, and really is looking at what is the information needed for better planning for responding to mitigating the impacts of flooding in New Zealand, and is a nationwide kind of initiative. So it's a really exciting one. And I think it's a good example of a digital twin that's trying to look at that intersection between the natural world and the built environment. And I think that you can see in the projects that we've selected, we're trying to, you know, broaden the scope of the digital twin initiatives that are out there. So AusN Health, I'm just going to change screen so I can read my notes on this one, because there's a lot of partners in this one. So the partnership here, Queensland University of Technology, Helen's department, which used to be DNRME, which is now Department of Energy, Department of Resources, sorry, Curtin University.
3 minutes, Kate, 3 minutes.
Yep. Geoscience Australia, the WA Department of Health, NGIS, as well as there's a range of stakeholders, an Environmental Protection Authority, and the Terrestrial Ecosystem Research Network, TERN. So this project really is to kind of solve the problem that there's no national digital representation of environmental and health indicators at a local level that enable policymakers, health managers, researchers to both identify vulnerable populations, predict what the potential disease burden will be, and also to take into account the changing climate that impacts that health outcome for people right across Australia. So this is a digital twin project that's trying to put the people into the twin and trying to understand potentially what all of those built environment and natural environment impacts are going to be. Again, there's a lot of you know, non-technical, I suppose, work that goes into a project like this, development of use cases, you know, mapping of personas and stakeholder requirements, looking at the data that you need to actually undertake this project. And so, you know, it's looking at things like the impacts of bushfire smoke. How does climate change that? And then looking at how you might help analyze and visualize that for more people to use it.
1 minute left.
And the last minute, I'll talk about a project that we have co-funded with the University of New South Wales, Data 61, New South Wales Government Spatial Services Group, Auran, Astrolabe, and again, Queensland. This is a standards-based project, so people might know CISI from UNSW, and we'll look at human behaviour and the way that changes as a function of environmental and physical conditions. So that could be urban heat island effect, types of surfaces, for example, in the way people move around cities. So those are the 3 projects that FrontierSI have co-funded, and hopefully as they progress, we'll be able to share more information about how they're going.
Fantastic, Kate. That is awesome. Within our time, if you're willing to provide further information offline and folks are interested in sort of reaching out to find more, are you open to them contacting you directly, or would you like me to facilitate that and get in the way, or not?
No, they can get in contact with me directly. What I will do is connect them with the project leads. So FrontierSI has, oversight of the projects. Kat Salm and my colleague Paula are the FrontierSI kind of project leads, but they also have leads in those that big long list of organisations I mentioned. So depending on, what people want to know, I can put them in contact with the researchers or the government departments or the project managers, depending on, what people are interested in.
Yes, awesome. So Kate, you might want to drop your email address into the chat box so folks can follow up should that be of interest to everyone. And also I will assume Kate and also Helen that we'll be able to share your slides that we will send back out around to everyone. Thanks, Kate. Helen, over to you. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. If you want to bring up your slides, we'll get the party started.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Apologies for my son's gaming headset. I thought this might be the best way to speak to you all today. So let's have a look. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Looking good.
That's terrific. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Adam, for inviting me to present today. I'm Helen Spencer, Program Manager in Land Policy and Spatial Information in the newly formed Queensland Department of Resources. We were formed at the end of last year after the Queensland government election, and the machinery of government changes meant that the energy part of the agency and the water part of the old agency of natural resources, mines and energy left us. But what that did leave us with are the best parts, I believe, and our DG and our Minister are very keen to enunciate that resources in Queensland not only means minerals, coal and gas and our state land estate, but it's also the data that is created in these two spaces, and the fact that data itself is a resource and should be cultivated and underpinned for greater community growth. So we are positioning ourselves as an economic development agency, and you can see there that there are a number of some new strategies that have come out of our strategic plan released last week, which involve greater use of, beg your pardon, greater use of our land resources, but most importantly, looking at the use of our data resources, and quite excitedly, the development of a data resource development plan. Now, what does that all mean? In the spatial area, we're of course trying to provide a vision of a single authoritative geography of Queensland, and we do that through technology such as the digital twin. We already have the Queensland Globe and our Geospatial suite, and we work with many other agencies to do it once for the many. We have a Geospatial Futures agenda, which I was leading prior to COVID, where one of the major parts of that was the transformation or the modernisation of our cadastral environment, upgrading our data, our systems and our processes relating to not only the cadastral boundaries, but addressing and positioning in other foundational data sets. Now, while we've had a pause due to COVID, it was an ICT pause made by the Queensland government in the middle of last year. There have been a couple of projects that have continued, one being the Cross River Rail project, which they're very pleased to say they never actually stopped building during COVID. So they were able to continue on COVID safe and continue the work that needed to happen. And one of the things that they had was their own digital twin of the proposed development, and that was really crucial in them in being able to continue the work that they needed to do in keeping on time and on target for this project. And we've been working closely with Cross River Rail, where our updated cadastre was included or is continuing to be included in their project digital twin. And we're hoping to see that come back when towards the end of the project, we will receive all of that data into our spatial digital twin going forward. Now, before COVID, we did...
3 minutes, Helen, 3 minutes.
Thanks, Adam. Before COVID, we did complete a prototype of a spatial digital twin with partners Data61, and some of you might be aware of the New South Wales digital twin. It was built on the same platform as that. And we've also been partnering to collaborating specifically in relation to learnings across those 3 projects with the Victorian government as well. Now that we're coming out of the ICT halt and COVID has given a bit of a different perspective on what spatial information is. It's kind of cool again when everyone's having to work from home and we couldn't go out and drive and see things. We actually did a lot of work within our Q Suite space. Some mapping services for the COVID army in terms of georeferencing supermarkets, pharmacies, aged care and medical centres. And there was a whole lot of work that was done in order to support that. And the argument that we've been saying, imagine if we did have our digital twin, our spatial digital twin really stood up, we would be able to take that information from any level of government straight away. So that was absolutely one of our learnings from COVID, and will be part of our business cases going forward as we're coming out of our ICT halt. Now, some of the other aspects that have been really interesting to Queensland is that our property market is booming like other areas around the country, and there's been a surge in properties being purchased sight unseen using spatial information, using our globe, using other technology that is available to the community, and we've seen that really increase over the past 4 months in particular.
60 seconds, Helen.
So what that's actually meant for us is that we are moving forward in this financial year in our digital twin space to develop our data, our systems, our processes in collaboration with all of these great people, including the Smart Cities Council and FrontierSI. And we're looking forward to launching very soon our framework for spatially enabled digital twins, which will be on the ANZLIC website very soon. Happy to pop that in the hub when it is available, but that really does build upon the foundation documents that ANZLIC have drafted and really describe how we can build an ecosystem of spatially enabled digital twins across the country. Thanks, Adam.
Helen, that's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Friends, the chat box has had a little bit of sort of to and fro in there. It seems like most questions have been answered so far, but we've got about 2 minutes left before we wrap our first hub meet. If anyone wants to ask a question, take yourself off mute, introduce yourself very briefly, ask a question directed to either Helen, Kate or myself, or indeed pop it in the chat box or otherwise. If not, I will quickly ask a question. Helen, the framework that you're going to be releasing very soon, is that a Queensland specific or a government specific framework, or more a communal resource that you're looking to sort of share with others? Can you give us a little bit of context around the framework?
It's certainly focused from a government perspective, but certainly a really good resource based on that next step down from the ANZLIC, Spatially Enabled Principles, a really good framework upon which governments of all tiers could participate and build the ecosystem of a digital twin, or a spatially enabled digital twin. So while it is targeted to government types, I certainly think you'll find it a fascinating read, Adam.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing that. We'll certainly post that in the hub when it comes out. Friends, it's 12 noon here on my clock. We're going to wrap now. Just quickly to entice you back next month, we'll be talking about digital twins and cities, digital twins and infrastructure, and we're going to play around in a little bit more detail in the street with data and all things digital twins. Thanks so much for joining us for our first meet. It's a half an hour. It's quick. Glad you could join us. Look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great week.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.